I stood in the hallway holding red roses, my hands shaking, my heart loud. It was Valentine's Day and I kept telling myself, this will work, just breathe. Emily squeezed my fingers and whispered, I'm here. I smiled at her and said, they'll like you, I promise. I believed it. I really did. The door opened. My father Richard looked at the roses, not at us. Why is she here? He asked. My mother Margaret stood behind him, silent, arms crossed. My younger brother Daniel leaned on the wall, smirking. I cleared my throat and said, Dad, this is Emily. I love her. Emily stepped forward and said softly, Happy Valentine's Day, sir. She held out a small gift. No one took it. Richard laughed once. Love, he said. You think love pays bills? I said, I work. I'm trying. He waved his hand. Trying is not enough. Daniel chuckled and said, he's embarrassing us. I felt my face burn. Daniel, stop. He shrugged. Just telling the truth. Margaret finally spoke. She's not from our kind of family, she said, eyes on the floor. Emily whispered, I can leave. I snapped, no. I looked at my parents. You never gave me a chance, I said. Richard stepped closer. We gave you everything. And you bring this. Emily flinched. I moved in front of her and said, don't talk about her like that. Richard's voice dropped. You defend her? I said, yes. I choose her. The room went quiet. Daniel stopped smiling. Margaret's lips trembled. Richard pointed toward the door. Then leave. I laughed because it didn't feel real. You don't mean that. He said, pack your things. Tonight. Emily said, sir, please? Richard cut her off. You ruined my son. I yelled, no, you did. My chest hurt. Margaret turned away. Daniel said, don't come back crying. I looked at him and said, I won't. We walked out. No one followed. The door closed. The sound stayed in my ears. Outside the cold hit us. Emily cried. I dropped the roses. They fell apart on the ground. I'm sorry, she said. I said, don't be. She asked, are you okay? I lied, yes. I wasn't. My home was behind me. My family was gone. Emily held my hand tighter. We'll figure it out, she said. I nodded. I looked at the crushed roses and thought, this is the price of love. I didn't know then that this night would break me and build me at the same time. Richard said, you think this woman will stand by you when you fail? I answered, she already has. Emily said, I love him. Daniel laughed, say that again when he's broke. My father pointed at me. You are throwing away our name. I said, your name feels heavy. Margaret whispered, please? I asked, please what? She stayed quiet. Emily looked at me and said, if this hurts you, we can go. I shook my head. I won't trade my heart for comfort. Richard said, then suffer. That word cut me. I said, I learned that from you. Daniel stepped closer. You'll regret this. I replied, I already do. Silence filled the room. I heard my heartbeat. Emily squeezed my hand. Richard said, last chance. I said, goodbye. I bent down and picked up my jacket. Daniel said, you're nothing without us. I looked back once. Watch me. Outside, Emily whispered, I hate this. I said, I hate losing you more. She cried, you're shaking. I said, I know. I stared at the house. The lights stayed on. I waited. No one came. Emily said, they chose. I answered, so did I. I remembered birthdays, dinners, my mother's smile. I said, I wanted them to see me. Emily replied, I see you. My phone buzzed. A message from Daniel read, don't crawl back. I deleted it. Emily asked, are you scared? I said, yes. I took a breath. But I'll survive. Emily nodded. We'll survive. I looked at her. Thank you. She said, always. I kicked the crushed roses. Petals scattered. I said, they deserved better. Emily answered, so did you. We walked into the night. My past stayed behind. I felt empty. I felt free. I didn't know where we'd sleep. I knew I'd never forget this door. I said, I swear I'll make them regret this. Emily stopped. Not revenge, she said. Life. I nodded. I looked at her. Stay with me. She said, I already chose. My throat tightened. The house disappeared behind a corner. I whispered, goodbye. Emily squeezed my hand. The night answered nothing. I felt the weight of everything. Love, loss, fear, hope. I said, "This is the start." Emily replied, "Yes." I didn't look back. My heart was broken. My choice was clear. Valentine's Day ended. My life began. I held on to Emily. I told myself, stand up. The cold burned. My eyes stung. I walked forward. Love was all I had. And for the first time, I chose it without fear, without permission, without regret, even as everything else fell away forever that night alone. I woke up on a lumpy mattress in a room that smelled like mildew and regret. Emily was curled next to me, arms wrapped around herself. I whispered, "Morning?" She didn't answer at first. Then she muttered, "It's just hard." I rubbed my face. "Yeah, I know." She looked at me with red eyes. "Do you think maybe they were right?" I shook my head, but my voice trembled anyway. "No, they were wrong. You're nothing wrong. It's them. Always them." Emily stayed quiet. I heard her sniffle. "I hate feeling small," she said. "Me too," I said. "But we're not small. Not if we stick together." My phone buzzed. I saw a message from Aunt Clara. "I wish I could help. I'm sorry. Be safe." I typed back, "Thanks. That means something." She never replied again. Then Daniel's name flashed across the screen. I groaned. "Enjoying life on the street yet? Nothing without us, huh?" I dropped the phone onto the bed. "You haven't changed," I muttered. Emily touched my arm. "Ignore him." I shook my head. It's hard not to think about what he says. What they all said. That I'm nothing without them. Emily whispered, "You're everything to me." Her words warmed me, but they weren't enough to stop the ache. I got up and counted the money I had, barely enough for a few meals. I said out loud, "This is going to be tough." Emily kissed my hand. "We'll manage." I forced a laugh. "Manage isn't enough. I need more. I can't just survive." We went out and found a cheap diner for breakfast. The waitress barely smiled. Emily said, "We can do better eventually." I leaned back. Eventually? That word sounded empty. We'll eat, we'll sleep, and we'll pretend it's okay. But it's not. Not really. Emily reached for my hand across the table. "I'm scared." "So am I," I said. "But fear isn't going to run my life anymore." Later we found another room for the night. Emily unpacked a few things, mostly clothes. I said, "We'll rotate who sleeps first on the floor. The bed isn't big enough." She laughed softly. "You're so organized even when everything's falling apart." I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall. "Do you think they even think about us?" She shook her head. "I don't think they care." I clenched my fist. "Of course they don't. Blood doesn't always mean home. I've known that now." My phone buzzed again. "Daniel, hope you're freezing. Hope you regret it." I stared at the message. Then I typed, "I don't regret loving her. You'll see." Emily rested her head on my shoulder. "Do you think someday they'll notice?" I held her tighter. "I don't care if they notice. I care that we survive. That we matter to each other." The night dragged on. Emily cried quietly, trying not to wake me. I watched her, guilt eating at my chest. "I can't protect you from everything," I whispered. "You're protecting me now," she said. I shook my head. "Not enough. I need power, money, respect. I can't stay small." Emily looked up at me, worried. "Power won't change how they feel." "Maybe not," I admitted. "But it will change how I feel. I won't beg ever again. Not for love, not for family. Not for anything." We lay there in silence. I imagined the life I wanted, one where no one could kick us out. One where I wasn't afraid to fight for what I loved. I felt anger, yes, but also determination. Emily whispered, "Promise me we'll be okay." I kissed her forehead. "I promise. But okay isn't enough. We're going to be more than okay. We're going to be untouchable." Her breathing slowed. I stared at the ceiling. The cheap room felt smaller than ever. Outside, the city moved on. Inside, I made a vow. Love alone doesn't survive. You need power. I counted the last bills in my pocket. Enough for tomorrow, maybe the next day. I said, "We start small, but we start strong." Emily curled closer. "I trust you." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "I won't let anyone break us again. Not them. Not anyone." The night passed slowly. I held Emily, and I thought of Daniel's sneer, of my father's scorn, of my mother's silence. Each memory stung. But for the first time, I wasn't just scared. I was ready. I whispered, "This is the beginning, not the end." And as I drifted into a restless sleep, I knew one thing. Love alone isn't enough. I need power. The office smelled of polished wood and cold coffee. I stood in front of Victor Hale's desk, heart hammering. He didn't smile. He barely looked up. "You're the kid my cousin warned me about?" he asked. I swallowed. "I'm determined, sir. I'll work hard." Victor leaned back. "Determined doesn't pay bills. Results do." I clenched my fist. "I'll deliver results." He studied me like a shark. "Why should I take you in?" I met his eyes. "Because I have nothing to lose. And everything to prove." He smirked. "Bold. I like that." Emily had insisted I think carefully. "Don't lose yourself," she warned. But I couldn't let fear stop me. "I won't," I promised her. Victor finally nodded. "You start tomorrow. 9 a.m. sharp. Don't be late. Don't complain. Don't fail." "Yes, sir," I said. Later, Emily looked at me, brows furrowed. "Are you sure about this?" "He's harsh." I shrugged. "I need this. I have to." She touched my arm. "Just promise me you won't change. Don't let this business eat you." "I promise," I said. But even as I spoke, I knew I would have to become someone harder. Someone sharper. The next day, chaos hit me. Victor barked orders. "Check the reports again. You missed details." I'm sorry," I stammered. "You're sorry?" he snapped. "Sorry won't fix mistakes. Fix them." I worked faster, double-checking numbers, rereading contracts, correcting errors. I barely ate, barely slept. Every failure felt like a punch. "Relax," Emily said that night. "You don't have to prove everything at once." "I can't," I said, shaking my head. "I have to. I can't be like them." Sarah, Victor's assistant, appeared at my door. "Late night again?" I rubbed my eyes. "You're still here?" "I respect ambition," she said. "But don't let it consume you. Power has a cost." "I know," I muttered. She gave me a sharp look. "Do you? Or do you just think you know?" I swallowed. "I'll learn." Days blurred into nights. I failed repeatedly. Contracts bounced back. Mistakes cost hours. Victor's eyes burned into me constantly. "You call this work?" he yelled one afternoon. "Step up or step out." "I'm stepping up," I shouted. My arms ached, my mind spun, but I refused to quit. Every mistake became a lesson. Every insult became fuel. Emily sat in the corner one evening, quiet. "You're changing," she whispered. "I'm learning," I said. "Not changing. I'm getting stronger." Sarah peeked around the door. "Careful. Hard work is good. Obsession destroys people." I nodded, but my pride flared. "I can handle it." Weeks passed. My hands were raw, my mind on fire. Victor cornered me after a grueling day. "You've got guts. I'll give you that. You're learning faster than I thought." I exhaled sharply. "Thank you, sir." He smirked. "I'm giving you a chance, but it's risky. Partnership. Real responsibility. One wrong move and it's over." I froze. A partnership?" "Yes. You've earned it if you can keep up. You're either in or out. Think carefully." I thought of Emily, our nights in cheap rooms, the humiliation my family caused me. I thought of every failure in Victor's office. I thought of the man I wanted to become. "I'm in," I said. Victor's lips curved slightly. "Good. Then show me what you're made of. Don't waste my time." Emily hugged me that night. "This is huge. Are you ready?" I kissed her forehead. "I have to be. No turning back now." Sarah leaned in. "Just remember, every move matters. One slip and it's not just business. It's your life." "I understand," I said. "I won't fail." I stayed awake that night, staring at the ceiling, thinking of every order Victor had shouted, every mistake I'd made. I felt fear, but more than that, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Purpose. Emily stirred beside me. "You'll be okay," she whispered. I nodded. "I have to be. I won't just survive. I'll rise." The city outside was alive. The world moved on. Inside me something shifted. I wasn't just the boy kicked out on Valentine's Day anymore. I was a man chasing power. Victor had thrown the challenge. I had accepted. And I knew, this deal could either save me or destroy me. Either way, there was no turning back. I walked into our small apartment after another 12-hour day, my suit wrinkled, hands still smelling of paper and ink. Emily was sitting at the table, arms crossed, staring at nothing. "You're late," she said. Her voice was quiet, but it carried more weight than any shouting ever could. "I'm sorry," I said, dropping my bag. Meetings ran long. Victor wanted updates. "You're always sorry," she muttered. And yet, nothing changes. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Emily, I'm trying. You know I'm trying. Her eyes flashed. Trying for what? For him? For your empire? What about us? I froze. Us. My chest tightened. I thought us mattered. It still does. She stood abruptly. Do you even know what that means anymore? You're disappearing and I don't recognize you. I'm not disappearing, I said, frustration rising. I'm building something, so we don't have to hide or beg ever again. She laughed bitterly. Ever again? You're already. I don't even know who you are. You're becoming him. Becoming who? I asked sharply. My father? You mean the man who kicked me out? Yes, she whispered. I see it. The coldness. The obsession with proving yourself. And Daniel, he's here again. I groaned and looked at my phone. Sure enough, a notification. Daniel, heard you're building something. Small victories for small people, huh? Enjoy the scraps. I crumpled the phone in my hand. He won't leave me alone. Emily sat back down. Do you even notice? He spreads rumors. They say you betrayed the family, abandoned them. And you don't even look back. I don't care what they say. I shouted. Immediately I regretted it. She flinched. I do, she said softly. And I care about you. Is all this pain really worth it? I couldn't answer. I opened my mouth then closed it. How could I explain? Everything I was doing was for us. But she only saw the distance growing. I'm tired of feeling invisible next to your ambition, she said. I thought we were a team. We are a team, I said. Emily, believe me. I'm working for us. You're working for power, she countered. For revenge. Not for love. I swallowed. Learning. I'm building a life where no one can humiliate us again. That's all I want. Her hand shook. And in the process you're leaving me behind. I took her hand. I'm not leaving you. You have to trust me. I can't, she shouted, tears forming. I can't trust the man I see in the mirror sometimes. The man who yells, who ignores, who's becoming my father. I stepped back. I'm not him. You're on your way, she said, voice breaking. And I can't stop you. But I won't follow you blindly anymore. The room went silent. I felt every word like a punch. The apartment suddenly felt too small. My hands shook. I just want us to survive, I said. You want more than survive, she said. You want to conquer. And I can't walk that path with you if it destroys us. I ran my hands through my hair. Emily, don't leave me. Please. She shook her head. I have to. I love you too much to watch you become someone who'll hate himself one day. I need space. Tom. I can't be your shadow while you chase, whatever this is. I opened my mouth to argue, to beg, to promise everything. But I knew it wouldn't help. My pride, my obsession, my fear of losing control, everything was blinding me. I'll wait, I whispered. I'll fix this. I can't wait, she said. Tears slid down her cheeks. I need to breathe. I need to remember the man I loved before he got lost in this mess. She turned and walked toward the door. Every step echoed in my chest. I called her name, but no sound came out. The door clicked shut behind her. Silence filled the apartment. I sank onto the couch. My hands shook. I stared at the floor, at the scattered papers, at my reflection in the dark window. Daniel's words replayed in my mind. My father's warnings. The rumors. Emily's tears. I realized something I hadn't wanted to admit. Ambition comes with a cost. And sometimes the ones you love most pay it first. I swallowed hard. I can't lose her, I whispered. Not her. Not now. But I knew. I had to become stronger, smarter, better, or she would be gone forever. And as I sat alone in the dark, the weight of my choices pressed down. Love alone wasn't enough anymore. I needed control. I needed power. Emily came back quietly one evening. She didn't knock. She just leaned against the doorframe and said, I'm here. I felt my chest tighten. You came back. She crossed her arms. I did. But on my terms. I'm not slipping into your life without boundaries. Boundaries? I asked, rubbing my face. I'll respect anything you want. Emily looked at me sharply. Good. Because I can't handle losing myself watching you chase everything. I'm back to support you, not to get lost again. I swallowed. I get it. I want us to work. I'm trying to be better. You better be, she said, walking closer. I'm here, but don't take this as permission to become someone cruel. Someone who enjoys the fall of others. I shook my head. I wouldn't. I've seen enough suffering to know what that feels like. Good, she said. Because I love you. But I won't watch you burn bridges just to build an empire. I nodded. Her return gave me hope, but also reminded me how fragile our bond was. Sarah poked her head into my office that afternoon. You're staying late again? I'm trying to finalize the contracts, I said. She leaned against the door. Careful. Don't lose yourself in the numbers. Power isn't just about money. It's about who you become while you get it. I know, I said. And I want to be someone I can live with. Then listen to Emily too, she said. She's your conscience when the rest of the world cheers for your success. I smiled faintly. I will. Weeks passed. I quietly expanded my business. Each success felt small but significant. Emily helped where she could, offering advice and keeping me grounded. One evening, over dinner, Emily asked, Do you ever think about them? Your family? I hesitated. Sometimes. Daniel's arrogance is catching up to them, I hear. But I don't interfere. Let life handle it. She nodded. Karma's working. You don't need to push it. I looked down at my plate. It feels satisfying, watching them struggle without lifting a finger. But I worry about losing myself in that satisfaction. Emily reached for my hand. Then don't. Remember why you started. Well, not revenge. I'll try, I said. Her calm made me want to be better. To not become what I despised. Sarah appeared in the office again. Victor wants a report on the expansion plan. You've been working nonstop. You need a break. I can't stop now, I said. I have momentum. You need balance, she warned. Otherwise, one day you'll look around and realize what you've built doesn't feel like yours. Or like yours alone. I nodded, appreciating her honesty. I won't let that happen. Emily watched me closely that night. You're changing, I see it. Not in the way you did before. But this is different. I like it. I felt a warmth inside. Thanks. You keep me honest. She smiled faintly. That's my job. Then came the news. My father had tried to contact me. Emails, phone calls, even messages through mutual acquaintances. I didn't respond. Not out of cruelty. I just didn't need closure from him. Emily noticed. They're reaching out. Are you going to answer? I shook my head. No. It's too late. They missed their chance when they kicked us out. I won't beg for their approval anymore. She nodded. Good. You've built your life without them. Don't let them back in and shake that foundation. I looked at her. I'm proud of us. But I can't lie, I feel a mix of satisfaction and pity when I hear they're struggling. It's quiet. I don't celebrate. I just notice. Notice but don't enjoy it, she said. Remember why you're doing this. For us, not for revenge. I sighed. I know. But it's hard not to feel some validation. That all those years of pain, all that rejection actually means something. Emily squeezed my hand. It means something if you keep your heart in it. If you don't become like them. I nodded. Then I'll stay careful. I'll stay focused. And I won't let anger rule me. That night, I watched the city lights from our apartment window. I thought about Daniel's arrogance, my father's pride, their mistakes piling up like dominoes. I didn't interfere. I just watched, quietly, knowing life was giving them what they earned. Emily leaned against me. You're different now. Stronger. Smarter. And still you. I hugged her. I'm trying. And with you, I can do more than try. I can build. I can grow. I can survive. We stayed there in silence, hearts beating together, knowing that karma had begun its work. Not through my hands, not through my plans, but through their own choices. And I finally felt a sense of peace, knowing I could rise without sinking into cruelty. I stepped into the ballroom, my shoes clicking against the marble floor. The chatter died the second I entered. I felt every eye turned toward me. Emily whispered, They're all looking. I know, I said. Just stay calm. Victor appeared beside me, his smile sharp. Look at that, he said. From nothing to everyone noticing. Not bad, huh? I nodded. Not bad. My father, Richard, avoided my eyes entirely. He was talking to a group, but I could see his hand tighten around his glass. Daniel froze mid-laugh when he saw me. Emily squeezed my hand. You look powerful. I'm trying to be, I whispered. Calm. Controlled. Victor clapped his hands. Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce my partner, the man behind our latest success, James Caldwell. Applause filled the room. I felt it wash over me, a mixture of pride and relief. My father shifted uncomfortably. Daniel's jaw tightened. A reporter approached. James, your growth this year is impressive. Any advice for young entrepreneurs? I smiled, calm and collected. Hard work, focus, and surrounding yourself with people who push you to be better. That's it. Emily whispered, you're handling this beautifully. I glanced at her. I'm trying. No need to stoop to their level. Richard cleared his throat behind me. I didn't look. He said, James, we should talk. I stayed calm. Not tonight, I said softly, smiling politely. He opened his mouth, then closed it. I could see the irritation flicker in his eyes. Daniel muttered, this can't be real. He's changed everything. I didn't answer. Silence was enough. Victor stepped forward. James, your leadership has been outstanding. The board and I couldn't be prouder. I nodded, accepting the praise. Emily's eyes shone with pride. Daniel finally approached me privately, away from the crowd. His face was pale. James, can you help? I made mistakes. Big ones. The company's struggling. I looked at him, calm but firm. You made your choices, Daniel. I'm not here to fix your failures. He swallowed hard. Please, for the family. I can't handle this alone. I shook my head slowly. That's your problem. I chose a different path when you chose arrogance. You wanted to play the same game as me without the work or discipline. His shoulders slumped. I just didn't know. You should have, I said. Actions have consequences. Always have. He nodded, humbled, and walked away. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. Silence had done its work. Victor came over. Enjoying the moment? I am, I admitted. But it's not over. It's just visible now. Emily leaned against me. You didn't yell, you didn't insult. And it hurt them more than anything you could have said. I smiled faintly. Power isn't about shouting. It's about presence, respect, control. That's what they lacked. Richard tried again, catching my eye. James? I looked back calmly. Good evening, Father. His face hardened. He nodded once, then looked away. Daniel's presence lingered at the edge of the crowd, uncertain, cautious. Emily whispered, they don't know how to handle you. They'll learn, I said softly. In their own way. I don't need to teach them. Victor patted my shoulder. Now that's the difference between a man who builds and a man who complains. You're in control. I exhaled slowly, letting the moment sink in. I had feared this confrontation for months. The fear, the humiliation, they were gone. I was standing on my own terms, recognized, respected, untouchable. Emily squeezed my hand. You've earned this. I have, I admitted. And it feels right. I scanned the room. Colleagues, competitors, all looking at me as an equal. I wasn't just James Caldwell, the son kicked out. I was James Caldwell, the man they couldn't ignore. Daniel lingered one last time before leaving the room. I didn't look at him. I didn't need to. His pride was already broken. Victor whispered, this is just the beginning. I nodded. I know. But it's the first time I felt untouchable. Emily rested her head on my shoulder. We've come so far. Yes, I whispered. And it's only going to get further. The lights reflected off the polished floors, the sound of conversations buzzing around me. Yet in that moment I felt a quiet satisfaction. Not vengeance. Not anger. Just power. Control. Respect. I had walked out of my family's shadow. Now I stood in my own light. I stood in front of the old house, the place where I had once called home. My heart thumped, not with fear, but with the weight of what was about to happen. Emily squeezed my hand. Are you sure? I have to do this, I said. Closure maybe. Or just honesty. The door opened and my mother Margaret looked at me. Her eyes widened, then filled with tears. James, she whispered. Mother, I said quietly. We need to talk. Privately. She nodded, leading me to the living room. My father, Richard, followed slowly, his face unreadable. I took a deep breath. Do you remember the night we were thrown out? Margaret's lips trembled. I'm sorry. I didn't know what to say. You were silent, I interrupted. And complicit. You let him, Daniel, let it happen. Her shoulders shook. I was scared. I didn't know how to stop it. I looked at her, seeing the woman I once loved, now broken by guilt. Scared. That's your excuse. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I never wanted to hurt you. I never stopped loving you. I clenched my fist. Love doesn't humiliate, Mother. Love doesn't allow someone to crush another person's life and call it family. Richard stepped forward, his voice low. James. You? I said. You who looked at me with nothing but disappointment. You gave me an impossible choice. Leave her or leave your home. Do you understand what that did to me? His face tightened. I was wrong. Wrong? I echoed. Do you even know what that means? Margaret sobbed. I'm sorry. I truly am. I shook my head. Sorry doesn't fix the nights Emily and I slept on cold floors. Sorry doesn't erase the humiliation. Sorry doesn't undo your pride crushing me. Richard swallowed hard. I never realized. You realized too late, I said. And now, your son has built a life without you. Without your permission. Without begging. He opened his mouth again. James? I'm done listening to excuses, I said. Daniel's arrogance ruined your business. You call me expecting help? I won't save what was lost because of pride and stupidity. Margaret gasped. But he's your brother. I refuse, I said firmly. Not out of hate, but self-respect. I won't compromise my life for mistakes that aren't mine to fix. Richard's eyes glistened. I didn't think it would come to this. I thought you'd return, you'd forgive, you'd... Return? I repeated. Forgive. I shook my head. Forgiveness doesn't mean sacrifice. It doesn't mean giving up what I built, what I earned. You had your chance and you lost it. Margaret whimpered. We were wrong. I know, I said softly. And maybe that's the hardest part. Accepting that people can realize their mistakes too late. That they can apologize and it won't matter. Richard stepped closer, voice trembling. James, I am truly sorry. I looked at him, calm but resolute. It's late, Father. Too late for the son you wanted to control. Too late for the boy you humiliated. The man you see before you is not the same one. I've grown beyond the fear you instilled. Beyond the need for approval you withheld. Emily's words echoed in my mind. Forgiveness doesn't mean sacrifice. I spoke them aloud. I forgive, maybe. But I will not bend to you. I will not compromise my life, my love, or my integrity. That's the difference between us now. Richard's shoulders slumped. His eyes, filled with something between sorrow and realization, finally met mine. I lost you, he admitted quietly. Yes, I said. Not to anger. Not to hate. But to growth. To life. You lost me to myself, to my own strength, to the person I needed to become. Margaret wept silently, nodding. Daniel, I imagined, would have crumbled if he were here. But I didn't need to see him. His arrogance had already taught me enough. Emily stepped beside me. You did what you had to do, she whispered. I nodded. And I won't look back. I've learned the hard way that love, respect, and dignity aren't given. They're earned even with family. And sometimes even family fails. Richard's voice was barely audible. I'm proud of what you've become. I shook my head slightly. Pride comes too late. But acknowledgement is enough. I turned toward the door, Emily beside me. My parents' faces stayed behind, etched with regret. I didn't look back. I walked into the sunlight outside, feeling the weight lift. I had confronted the past. I had seen regret firsthand. And I had survived, stronger and free. I stood in the corner office, glass walls stretching floor to ceiling, and watched the city bustle below. My companies thrived, partnerships solid, respect earned through years of relentless effort. The empire I had built alone wasn't just about money, it was about control, dignity, and lessons learned the hard way. Emily entered quietly, holding 2 coffees. You've been staring out here for hours, she said softly. I was just thinking, I admitted, about how far we've come. She smiled and set a coffee on my desk. We've come far, but you've changed. I see it. The man who hated the world for his family's mistakes is gone. The man I love is still here. I laughed quietly. I hope so. But some of the old me is still in there. The me who fights, who refuses to beg, who refuses to lose. Emily put her hand on mine. That man saved us. But now you don't have to fight alone. I nodded. Speaking of not fighting alone, I glanced at the young man waiting outside my office. Michael, come in. Michael stepped inside, eyes wide. Mr. Caldwell, you wanted to see me? Yes, I said. Sit. I studied him for a moment. He reminded me of myself years ago, hungry, ambitious, uncertain, a little lost. I remember being your age. Confused. Angry. Ready to give up when the world turns its back. I want to help you. Not just as an employer, but as a mentor. His eyes lit up. You do that. I would, I said. But you have to work. You have to earn it. I won't coddle you, but I will guide you. Understand? Yes, sir, he said, voice trembling with excitement. I won't let you down. Emily whispered as he left, You're not just building an empire, James. You're building people. I smiled. That's the point, isn't it? Power is nothing if you can't pass wisdom along. We walked through the office together. Emily leaned on my arm. Do you ever think about them? Your family? I nodded slowly. Sometimes. I heard they sold the house. Their empire shrunk. The name doesn't hold weight anymore. She looked at me. Does that hurt? Yes, I admitted. But not in the way it used to. It's like a wound that healed. I feel sadness, a shadow of regret, but not real regret. I don't wish I had done anything differently. I learned, I grew, I survived. Emily smiled softly. And we did it together. On equal ground. I squeezed her hand. I've never wanted equality more than now. Not dominance, not control over someone else. Just respect, understanding, love. And you've given me that. Later, Michael returned. Mr. Caldwell. I completed the report. Could you review it? I leaned back. Let's see what you've learned so far. He handed it over nervously. I nodded, pointing out areas to improve, praising what was strong. Remember, success isn't just winning. It's learning, growing, taking responsibility for mistakes. That's how empires last. Yes, sir, he said, more confident this time. Emily watched silently. I think he'll be ready to stand on his own soon, she said. I smiled. And that's the goal. Teaching others is the last lesson of power. A message popped up on my phone. It was a real estate alert. My family's old home had been sold. I stared at it, a hollow ache settling in my chest. They sold it, I said quietly. Emily touched my shoulder. Does it matter? Yes, I said. It matters, but not in the way I feared. I feel something. Loss maybe. A reminder of the past. But no regret. That chapter is over. Done. Emily leaned against me. Are you finally at peace? I looked out the window, sunlight reflecting off skyscrapers, the city alive beneath us. I think I am, I said. Not because everything is perfect, but because I've earned this life and I've chosen it for the right reasons. Power, love, respect, all balanced. That's peace. She smiled, resting her head against my shoulder. I'm glad. I exhaled slowly. You know, all those nights we slept in cheap rooms, counting every penny, wondering if love alone was enough. It wasn't. But it led me here. To this. To us. Emily laughed softly. And it was worth it. I nodded. Every insult, every failure, every heartbreak, all of it. It built me, shaped me, and made me see what really matters. She kissed my cheek. And you didn't just survive. You thrived. You're not the man who begged for acceptance. You're the man who gives it to others wisely. I hope Michael learns that, I said. And I hope we continue to build, together. Emily smiled, eyes shining. We will. I stared at the city below, the life I had built alone and now shared. My heart was steady, my mind clear. The empire wasn't just companies or wealth. It was integrity, love, and lessons earned the hard way. And for the first time in years, I felt it fully. Complete, quiet, undeniable peace. I woke up to sunlight streaming through the blinds. Emily was still asleep beside me, her hair splayed across the pillow. I watched her for a moment, heart full, and whispered, Good morning. She stirred and smiled. Morning. You're up early. I couldn't sleep, I admitted. I was thinking about today. She raised an eyebrow. Valentine's Day? I nodded. 1 year ago, we were standing outside my family's house. Roses crushed under my feet. My life shattered. Emily shifted closer. And now? Now, I said, smiling softly, we're here. Together. No fear, no humiliation. No one telling us we're wrong for loving each other. She took my hand. I like this version better. I laughed quietly. So do I. We spent the morning quietly, drinking coffee and talking about the year past. Do you remember Michael? Emily asked. I nodded. I do. He's grown so much. I'm proud of him. Reminds me of me back then. She smiled. And you didn't just teach him business. You taught him patience, strength, dignity. Exactly, I said. It's more than profit. It's about becoming someone worth respecting, worth following. She reached across the table. You've changed. Not just in business. You're calmer, balanced, and you didn't lose yourself. I had to, I said. Love reminded me what mattered. And rejection reminded me what I couldn't compromise. Her eyes softened. And silence became your justice. I nodded slowly. It did. I didn't need to destroy anyone. I simply outgrew the place they tried to bury me in. That's more satisfying than any revenge. My phone buzzed. A message from my father. James, we want to reconnect. Can we meet? I read it aloud. Emily leaned over. What will you do? I set the phone down. Nothing. Not out of bitterness. Not out of hate. But because closure isn't about opening the door. It's about knowing you've walked through it yourself. Emily squeezed my hand. I like that. You've truly become the man you needed to be. I smiled, feeling the weight of the past dissolve. 1 year ago, I thought love alone was enough. I was wrong. I needed strength. I needed growth. And now I have both, with you. She leaned her head on my shoulder. And I'll be here every step. No roses crushed, no tears, no shouting. Just us. I kissed her forehead. Exactly. That's the Valentine I always wanted. Later we walked through the park. Couples around us, laughing, holding hands, giving gifts. I felt calm watching them, not envious, not bitter. I had my own victory, quiet, internal, complete. Emily laughed softly. You're staring again. I'm just thinking. 1 year ago I felt powerless, invisible. Now I feel whole. She smiled. That's how it should feel. Not loud, not flashy. Just right. I nodded. And the lesson is clear. Rejection doesn't destroy you. Love doesn't save you unless you fight for it. And silence can be the most powerful response of all. We sat on a bench. Emily rested her hand in mine. Do you ever regret anything? I shook my head. No. Every step led here. Every humiliation, every sleepless night, every fight, it built me. Not into someone cruel. Not into someone bitter. But into someone who can stand tall, hold love, and respect himself. She looked up at me. And what about them? I thought of my parents, of Daniel, of all the people who had tried to define my worth. They're part of my story. But they're not part of my life anymore. And that's enough. I've grown beyond needing their validation. Emily smiled softly. Then you've truly won. I have, I said. Not by breaking anyone. Not by showing anger. But by building a life that no one can touch except with permission. And you made that possible. She squeezed my hand. Happy Valentine's Day, James. I looked at her, at us, at everything we had survived together. Happy Valentine's Day, Emily. This time it's perfect. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the park. I didn't feel the weight of the past anymore. I felt strength, love, dignity. The man I was, the man I had become, stood fully alive, fully free. No roses on the floor. No shouting. No fear. Just peace. Just growth. Just the quiet victory of surviving, of loving, and of outgrowing what tried to hold me down. And as I held Emily's hand, I knew silence, love, and resilience had become my justice.